So I'm dropping this right out of the gates. I'm not going to review all of Breaking Bad and the previous 5 seasons of Better Call Saul. I'll just assume that you're a fan if you're watching this, and if you're not, it's one of the best shows on television, period. Breaking Bad is about a chemistry teacher that is being cocked by his wife, feels worthless and emasculated, finds out he's going to have cancer, so he decides to make some money for his family. Thinks like he's going to die anyway, so he gets into the drug business. And it's a really good show. Now, Better Call Saul is a prequel focused around one of the supporting characters in Breaking Bad, and I want to say that one of the things that I really love about it is the 90s technology. It gives me such a trip down the memory lane, seeing those old computer monitors and all of that 90s tech that the writers had to recreate is just pure awesome. I love it. And the show starts off slow compared to Breaking Bad. Like the first seasons are good, but not amazing. However, once it gets to season 3 and 4, they become better than, in my opinion, Breaking Bad. So if you haven't watched it, there I gave you plenty of reasons to. Just watch a couple of episodes from Breaking Bad and you'll be hooked. Now, I want to make some predictions about season 5, and right now episode 2 is out, so I'm going to predict something about episode 3 and further. Before that, let's watch a little bit from the trailer, and we can go from there.
Exactly did I just set up? If there's gonna be blowback, I don't want to be in the middle of it.
So at the end of episode 2, he was taken by Ignacio, which is the same actor who plays the bad guy in Far Cry, and honestly, he's just an amazing actor. I love him so much in this show. Every single time he appears, he just manages to steal the scene. He's like the Mexican Tywin Lannister, using his charisma in order to captivate the audience. And at the previous episode, he got Saul to get in his car, and I think at the beginning of the trailer right here is going to be the beginning of episode 3. Saul notices the bling that these people are having, and he also notices a gun between them, and the fact that the driver, I think, is also one of Salamanca's men, the one that got punished by Ignacio, having his piercing ripped off from the ear. And he also looks around and sees that the doors cannot be opened. So I think it's like a scary environment for Saul to be in. He has worked with conmen and people before, but I don't think he ever worked with people at this level. Like, he is street smart, but didn't got himself involved into something so big. So this might be new territory for him, especially now that he just got his law license back and he managed to get a lot of clients, and I don't think he wants any of this nonsense. But he is trapped into this nonsense, and I think they're going to use him in order to try to get Crazy 8 out of the police custody. Now, we know that Crazy 8 actually survives because he appears in Breaking Bad. In fact, he's one of the first people that gets killed by Walt. And he's also a police informant. So maybe this is how Saul actually gets him off the hook, makes a deal with Hank, and this is how they probably introduce him into this show, because we know he was an informant for Hank and Gomez. So it's going to be really interesting to know how he explains this to Lalo, because for the people in the cartel, being a rat is a death sentence. And we know this also from Breaking Bad, that this is what got Gus to try and kill Hector. It wasn't until Hector pretended to go to the cops in order to be a rat that Gus actually came with the syringe, which led to that epic scene in the hospital ward. But with that said, it's going to be really interesting. So we know that Crazy 8 is going to become a police informant. The only question is, like, how is Saul going to explain this to Lalo? I think he's going to say something like, yes, he is a police informant, but he's your informant. Like, you can actually use him in order to feed the cops bad information. I think this would be a smart play. Now, something else that I think is going to happen this season is we notice in the beginning of the trailer, Saul saying, "Who did I just set up? And I don't want this to blow back on me." Now, I assume that Ignacio is going to try to use Saul to set up Lalo, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily in the next episode. Now, the reason I am saying this is because in Breaking Bad, when Walt and Jesse manages to catch Saul, the first thing he says, "Who is this? Is it Lalo? I've always been a friend of the cartel. Please don't kill me. It was Ignacio. It was all on him." So what I assume happens is that Ignacio is going to get Saul in order to get Lalo into some sort of trouble, maybe have him arrested to remove Lalo from the equation. Because Lalo seems to be another favorite villain of mine. He has a lot of gravitas whenever he is on the screen. But he doesn't appear in Breaking Bad. So either he is dead, which is more likely, or he is imprisoned. I think he is dead because Gus tells Hector that the entire family name dies with you. So, he killed all his cousins, he killed Don Eladio, he killed everyone. So Lalo being affiliated to Hector, and I think he is also family, that is why he's going to end up dead. But there's another possibility that he ends up in prison somewhere. And whatever happens is definitely at the hands of Jimmy. Now, I don't think it's going to happen in the next episode because Jimmy gets to know Lalo to the point where he's afraid of him. And I don't think that type of relationship can just be built in one episode. And I also don't think that such an interesting character has been brought on the set just so that they can get rid of him in 3 or 4 episodes. So we're going to see more of Lalo. And we're definitely going to see Jimmy try to set him up based on Ignacio's orders, which probably are going to happen because of what Gus tells Ignacio to do. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see that. Now, there's also a little bit of Mike popping up in the trailer. And I think Mike is going through a really interesting character arc. He started off as the type of person that follows contract, like he's going to follow his word on things, but he draws a line at killing. When he went to that veterinarian in order to get a job, he specifically said he's not interested in anything lethal. He doesn't want to do any assassination. So because he started working for Gus and realized he screwed up by letting the German Ziegler getting away from him, he had to kill Ziegler, otherwise he probably would have got the bullet too. So by killing Ziegler, he shows that he is in. Usually this is how cartels operate, blood in, blood out. So he is willing to do criminal activities of the highest order, so he's not a cop or he's not an undercover policeman or anything like that. And this is something that I think he did in order to get Gus's trust, but it's definitely something that he wasn't satisfied with doing, because we see the way he parted way with Gus, saying you get to keep your goddamn retainer, and also the fact that he's going to be drinking in a bar, obviously upset over the fact that he had to kill Ziegler. And it's going to be interesting to see how he goes from that point into becoming the, I guess, the right-wing man of Gus's criminal enterprise. Oh, and let's not forget that Howard actually asked Jimmy for a dinner, which Jimmy said, talk to me later because I'm busy now, last episode. I think Howard is going to want to hire Jimmy into the law firm, and I'm basing this on the fact that Howard must be impressed with the way Jimmy handles himself to a certain degree. Like, he managed to get himself out of the situation with Chuck. And not only that, but he gave Howard the advice of he's a good salesman and he should go out there and sell. Like, he tried to give that kick, that motivation, in order to get Howard turn the firm around after Chuck's death. So I generally think that Howard is impressed with Jimmy, plus he might feel a little bit of guilt over the talking down Kim gave to him in the previous season, based on the fact that he gave Jimmy just enough money from the settlement, so he can't complain and file legal suit against him. He got Jimmy to go through the burned house in order to pick up any valuable objects left by Chuck. So I think he has a guilty consciousness, and at the same time understands that despite Chuck's resignations, Jimmy is actually a good lawyer. He's very intelligent, he's very cunning, and he might want to give him a job that I think Jimmy is going to decline because Jimmy doesn't work for them in Breaking Bad. And finally, the last remaining card would be Kim. It's really interesting to see what happens with her. There's two possibilities. One, they split up because she obviously doesn't end up with Saul in Breaking Bad. And even in the future, when we get those intros in black and white at the beginning of every season, we never see Jim think or say anything about Kim. So either they have a fight that leaves them unable to talk with each other, or she dies. I don't think she's going to die. I mean, it would be really weird if she does, considering that the time period gets really close to Breaking Bad now, and Jimmy doesn't seem to be mourning someone or wanting revenge on some particular individual because of death of Kim. So what I generally think is that they're going to have a falling out, and that's how Jimmy is going to get closure. Like, they're going to be such separate people that there's nothing that can be said between them. Alternatively, this would also be really weird. They could still be talking, and like throughout Breaking Bad, we just didn't see her because, well, think about it. You know, she's going out doing her own thing, and Jimmy just goes to the office, does the businesses with Walt. Like, we never actually see what Jimmy does when he's in his free time. We never actually see what he does when he is at home. So this would be like a very, very small possibility. Also a really weird one, but hey, I mean, it's possible. Why not? It would definitely be a very bold decision from the writers, and I'm pretty sure people like Rickle Drinker would moan and be like, well, why don't we never see her in Better Call Saul? And again, it's like you never see what Jimmy does in his own free time. You do not see what he does when he goes at home. So he probably does go at home and talks with Kim, and they don't talk about work that much, or he doesn't keep her informed about his criminal enterprise. It's quite possible, and I would love that, to be honest. I would actually love if they managed to remain together, and then maybe they add a little bit of extra scenes to show what happens during Breaking Bad, and maybe during Breaking Bad they have the breakup. That would be nice to see. Maybe you get like the black and white intro in the next season where he actually calls Kim and asks for a favor. But anyway, right? This is my thoughts. What do you think will happen with Kim? Do you think she's going to survive? Do you think she's going to die, or do you think like they're still going to be together? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and also let me know if you want me to keep making these Breaking Bad analysis, I guess you can call them. I don't know how many of you are interested, but yeah. Thank you for watching, and remember, Siler is an asshole.